so I'm going to first off by saying hello, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite conservation projects, the Oyster Restoration Project. Now, the Oyster Restoration Project was started in 2009 by Dr. Linda Walters. She is a professor at the Central University of Florida. I said that backwards, sorry. And she partnered up with Brevard Zoo in 2009 as well. You can see right here, this is one of the deployment groups. We will be getting deployments on. So, why are oysters important? A couple of you may know or may not know. Well, oysters are, of course, a food source, because I know I like to eat oysters. They help prevent erosion. And they're a keystone species. You may not know the term. Keystone species basically means that they're one of the supporting factors of an ecosystem. So you take away the support, it collapses. They're also filter feeders. So one oyster can actually filter up to 50 gallons of water in one day. And a couple of the threats that they actually face is boat wakes and then over-harvesting. You can see there's a bunch of little men up here. That's a lot. There's also coastal construction that takes away their habitat. And one of the ones that they face is, of course, diseases, and we don't cause those. And one of the things that we do is oyster mats. That's the first step. And an oyster mat is basically a square mesh, and we zip tie 36 oyster shells onto a mat. Now, the reason we use these mats is because oysters, baby oysters are called spat, and they will swim through the ocean, through the river, and they will cling on to the other oysters. One oyster can actually have up to 93 baby spats on it to help populate and we deploy them in the Indian River Lagoon. And what we do is that first we go to a dead margin. A dead margin is, as you see, a bunch of just bleached out oysters because of low tide and also the boat wakes. The boat wakes will actually lift up the oysters and flip them over to where they cannot survive at all. So what we do is we first load up a boat. We put the oyster mats. We use right here, you can see that we have these little donut hole rings. We use those to weigh down the mats. We also have rakes and pickaxes, and we start to rake out those dead margins. And I will tell you, it is tough work. It's like rigging concrete itself. And don't get me started on the mud, because that is so hard. But it's very satisfying when you're done. And then you start to lay out the mats in a quilted pattern. So you lay down one mat, weigh it down, zip tie it, start again. And once you're done with the deployment itself, you come back a couple months later and you check to monitor and see how that one oyster reef is doing. Right now, we have currently 42,000 mats deployed into the lagoon itself, and we have built around 62 oyster reefs.